Let's face it, Ghana's real estate sector comes with plenty of hype and even more suspicions. You'll hear it all the time with people saying things like everything is overpriced, it's all for foreigners and those in the diaspora, and buying land is a trap, and many other similar statements. But then, how much of all this is really true? And how much of all this is just public frustration wrapped in exaggeration? How much of this is just frustration dressed up as facts? Well, in today's episode, we're tackling 5 of the biggest misconceptions about Ghana's real estate sector, or probably Ghana's real estate market, and we'll be responding with some facts, context, and also some practical advice to help you make informed decisions. I'm Desmond Kafui, and you're welcome to another episode of Ghana Ground Up. The first myth we're dealing with today is this: everything is overpriced for no reason. Well, this comes up quite a lot, especially with all these properties on the market that are priced in US dollars. You walk around town, you check online listings, you speak to people or even speak to agents, and you hear many people complain about the fact that property prices are high. In some cases, yes, the property prices are really insane. But here's the thing: pricing is not just about the size of the property or the space that you're dealing with. Most of the pricing reflects more than just the physical structure. You're not just buying blocks or mortar, you're buying the cost of the land, which in Greater Accra can be incredibly expensive. Now, you're also paying for imported materials, high labor costs, you're paying for legal fees, permits, utility connections, and sometimes you're even paying for private roads or security. And of course, you're paying for the developer's profit. Now, let's not forget, most developers in Ghana fund their projects privately, either using their own funds or loans from a bank. And there's no government subsidy to cushion the expenses. And this means that they have to bear all the initial costs and also the risk involved by themselves right from the very beginning. And they will eventually transfer all these costs to the buyer. Our tip here is this: you need to focus on the value of the property and not just the price of the property. You need to consider the location, the design of the property, the infrastructure, the build quality, the resale potential, and also the convenience you get to enjoy when you move into that property. You'd realize that when you look at the price of the property in isolation, you're highly likely to consider the whole project as very expensive or overpriced. But good things often don't come cheap. And real estate especially doesn't come cheap, regardless of where you find yourself or regardless of where that property is located. If you're going to buy, do well to compare options in different locations. Some areas may give you a lot more for your money. You may get more value for your money, especially those areas that are just outside central Accra. A little research can stretch your budget further than you think, and so do well to look at factors like the property's proximity to essential infrastructure, the efficiency of the design of the property, and also look at the resale potential of that property. Another myth is that only the rich folks or foreigners can afford houses in Ghana. Yes, housing is expensive, very expensive generally. And a lot of properties are priced out of the reach of the average Ghanaian, especially in high demand areas like the prime areas that we already know. But then that doesn't mean that homeownership is impossible for the average Ghanaian. The rise of gated communities in the outskirts like EB and Oyarifa, and also smaller 1 and 2 bedroom apartment units are opening up more affordable options for more people. Now, these options are often targeted towards the young working class, and you'll also find out that a lot of developers are opening up themselves to more flexible payment options, from installment plans to mortgage partnerships with banks to rent-to-own schemes. And some developers even let you spread your payments over 2 to 3 years, and this is a really good thing. Here's our tip for you: do also broaden your search beyond just the flashy and expensive areas we all know, and don't limit yourself to just the popular areas alone. Don't break your neck trying to look at the properties in the wrong places. And by the wrong places, it means places that you can't afford. Do well to explore emerging areas, and don't be afraid to speak to the developers directly. They are often more accommodating than their websites may suggest. Ask your questions, negotiate, and you'll be surprised how far you can go when you engage people. One main myth you'll hear a lot is that the real estate market in Ghana is all a scam. Now, this one really stinks. And for good reason. Thanks to some horror stories about double land sales, fake agents, unfinished houses, and crooks disguising themselves as property developers who run away with your money. And you'd realize that a lot of people now see real estate in Ghana as one big scam, and to a certain extent, there's some truth in it. The truth here is that there are scammers. That undisputed, but then there are also legitimate people. They are reputable developers and agents. In talking about property agents, Ghana's Real Estate Agency Council is working to regularize the space and also license property agents. The aim is to have a refined practice, have also records of those who are operating, and also enforce the codes of conduct or ethics, and also get rid of scammers in the system. Now, you can't just get up and find a house for rent, post it on your status, and assume that you've become an agent. No. For the informal agency operators, there's coming a time when you either get a license for your practice or you may have to find another venture altogether. And this brings up the issue of some agents charging 10% commissions on rentals when the industry standard is 5%. Anyway, we'll leave that discussion for another day. So the whole concept about the real estate market being a scam all boils down to who you work with or who you cross paths with. Our tip: always verify, work with professionals, and ask for registration documents. Demand the contracts, do your official land searches, and make sure you get it right. Consult a lawyer, even if the deal you're working on seems like a small deal. And trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. If something feels too good to be true, it probably is. Don't assume everyone is bad, no, but don't also go blind either. Caution and due diligence are your best tools. The fourth myth is that land ownership in Ghana is just too risky. Well, there's actually a lot of truth in this. You'd see that land litigation in Ghana is real and a big headache. Now, you have issues where chieftaincy disputes, unclear boundaries, family land claims, and unregistered lands cause massive problems for many people and even end up in court battles, and people end up losing all their monies entirely. Now, a lot of work needs to be done to get these things right, especially with the Lands Commission. But then it's not all doom and gloom. Systems are improving. The Lands Commission has made some strides in digitalization, and hopefully land searches will be faster than before. And there's also more lands today with proper titles and documentation than before. Now, our tip for you is this: start with a proper site plan. Run the search at the Lands Commission and use a lawyer to draft or review all the land agreements. And most importantly, make sure that the land has a clear title. And follow up to make sure that that title is perfected once you buy it. Yes, it takes work. It takes a lot of work. But then the process is becoming more streamlined, and those who take the right steps usually come out successful. So make sure you get it right. The fifth myth is that there's no value for money in real estate in Ghana. Well, this is another common frustration, and again, there's some merit to it. Some buyers complain about the poor finishing on their properties, others complain about bad plumbing, poor quality fixtures, and ventilation issues in their houses, and these houses are selling for huge sums of money. Now, the issue here is not always about the price. It has to do with standards. Now, this is not a general issue. Some developers are doing the right thing. Now, there are those who are cutting corners and doing the wrong things, but then there are also those who are doing the right thing, and they will prioritize the quality of their projects. They will hire the right people to work with, and they will also deliver on what they promise. Now, we advise you to visit the show house or the show apartments for any project that you're interested in. Do well to check the tabs, open the drawers, check the doors, check everything. Go there and see things for yourself. Ask about the warranties on the properties and the agreements for support on those properties after you buy the property. And you must do well to also speak to people who have already bought from the developer if you can. A beautiful home isn't just about the looks. It's also about how well it's built. Do well to ask the tough questions. In the end, every industry has its fair share of problems, myths, and mistrust. And the real estate sector in Ghana is no different. But then if you understand the market, if you ask the right questions, and if you work with the right people, I believe that you can absolutely find a property that works for you. So don't let the myths hold you back. Do well to get informed, stay alert, and make smart moves. Do well to stick with us because in the next episode, we'll unpack 5 more misconceptions that might be stopping you from making a smart move in Ghana's real estate market. I'm Desmond Kafui, and this is Ghana Ground Up. I'll catch you in the next episode.